The stock of the day is brought to you by IG, Australia's #1 CFD provider. With over 17,000 markets and extended trading hours, turn US earnings season volatility into opportunity. Get started at IG.com.
All right, I thought we'd take a look at airlines today, but as our stock of the day. But I think an airline that's rarely come up on the call, Regional Express, Rex. The regional airline entered a trading halt this morning at its own request after a report suggests the company has called in Deloitte's restructuring services. Comes after Bonzo went into administration in April and Virgin Australia attracted attention from Qatar Airways. On its end, Rex faced a management turmoil after Executive Chairman Lim Kim Hai was swiftly replaced in June. He went on to request a shareholders meeting to contest the decision. So not only is it an ugly industry to be in, it's been a bit of an ugly management fight as well. Trading halt today, Mathan, getting into an airline stock other than Qantas history tells us is fraught with danger.
Yeah, Warren Buffett said that,
Yeah.
and then he got into airlines and lost money.
Yeah.
And then he said, see what I told you? It's tough. It's a tough sector. There's a lot of moving parts, as with most things, but airlines are even more tougher. I think, the smaller ones, obviously, even more on the riskier side. We had this rampant catch-up after the COVID lockdowns. Everyone got excited and then priced that in as forever, and that is never the case. And so we're getting used to that with a lot of sectors now, getting back to normality. I think the airlines are part of that. I'm not a fan of the whole airline sector. I'm not going for the Warren Buffett thing. I hate it when people say Warren Buffett. So I did it. There you go. I hate it. But in saying that, I'm not a fan of even Qantas here. I think the consumer spending cycle will catch up with all of them. I just flew. I mean, for the love of God, if you're taking your family to US, you're basically spending for 2 to 3 weeks a used car.
Yeah.
You're giving up a used car by the time you finish it. I don't want to see my credit card bill. That's going to be like a...
But they enjoy Disneyland. What price can you put on a memory? A used car.
I keep telling my kids, you guys are, depreciating assets that I cannot tax deduct. But in saying that, it was a great trip. But geez, it's expensive.
Yep.
And the other thing to keep in mind is that technical glitch that hit globally has had huge impact from everything from airline, travel, banks, supermarkets. Everyone's affected by it. They're still recovering from it.
Right.
So there is issues attached to that as well. Again, the one, if I had to pick, and right now we're not picking it, but the one I would look at is Alliance Aviation. Because, it's a tough market, a tough sector. You really have to back management to think outside the box and do weird stuff.
It's almost a mining services company, isn't it?
It is, and also it's a kind of like a
charter transport business.
Charter transport, also parts business.
Yeah.
Because they kind of go into an area where they own the parts, and then if anybody else wants parts, they have the old planes to get the parts from.
Right.
So it's the business. The management is very good. I would look at them if you had to look at one. Australia hasn't got a really good track record of, when these kind of airlines go under, they go down very fast, and I don't want to find out how it goes down. So I'm not picking Rex. I think issues will come through. Qantas, I think the cycle will weigh on them. If I had to look at one, I would look at Alliance, but I'm not buying that right now, but that's on my watch list.
During the pandemic, it was the most profitable airline in the world, wasn't it? Because they just had to keep service the fly in, fly out.
The management, I'll give them credit, they think outside the box.
Yeah. And Qantas has tried to take them over, but not backed by the ACCC.
And there's a reason why they want to take them over.
So should Alliance just expand? Qantas has got 10% or something as a strategic stake. Should Alliance just fill those regional routes? They be competing against Qantas.
And also it's kind of like, it's an interesting story. I compare it to something that's completely different. It's like the reject shop. What they did originally was a really good thematic, then they expanded, and then the thematic got diluted and they can't keep up with it.
Right.
Alliance has a unique advantage where they are. I think if they try
Stick to their knitting.
Exactly. If they go too big, then it gets diluted and
Good
they get
point.
into trouble.
Good point. Kai, Rex?
Yeah, it's interesting talking about airlines going under. They spun off Ansett back in like 2002,
Yep.
And I think just in terms of domestic flights in Australia, it's such a hard market to be profitable in. The distances are so long, yet the number of customers in Australia to capitalise on is so small.
Okay, but Sydney, Melbourne
Yeah.
is what? In the top 3 busiest routes in the world,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes, but if you compare some of the distances in Europe, right, it's much shorter the distances in Europe, whereas Australia you've got so much more land to cover.
Yeah.
But again, also the number of customers going through the flow is a lot lower.
Right.
So yeah, I think in terms of Rex itself, the management, how this came about was basically, you've got Lim Kim Hai and his brother-in-law who own about 50% of the company. And there's just been a string of poor governance from them. They failed to disclose their profitability, and basically it was slow in reporting their losses, as well as some other, failing to disclose a relationship between him and his brother-in-law, which was I think the start of the whole drama.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So basically,
So maybe not that the airline is sort of not viable. It is this shareholder stoush, is it?
Yes.
Amongst the independent directors on the board and the big shareholders.
That's right. Basically he got moved out, but at the same time he's come back and he wants to remove the whole board except for one member who's private equity, and so it's contractually has to be on the board.
Right. Okay. So nowhere near it.
No.
Okay. Qantas alternative.
Or,
Any travel? Are you
not
keen on travel at all?
not
Qantas?
really at the moment.
Right.
I think, as Mathan said, after that revenge post-COVID spending on travel, it's really kind of normalised, and with the cost of living pressures, I think people are just kind of being a bit more sensible and tailing back their travel.
Yeah.
So it's not a sector that we're very keen in.
Yeah, it is
If you want to play in the that sector, flip the dynamics and look at Auckland International Airport.
Right.
You're getting part property developer,
Yep.
part transport, and it's kind of like globally New Zealand. Everyone loves New Zealand.
Yep.
So the holiday destination play. So if you think this, the whole travel thematic will play well, that's a good way to play it because you've got an asset play, you've got a property developer play, and a tourism play.
Yep. Good point. All right, that's our stock of the day. Rex.
The stock of the day was brought to you by IG. Turn volatility into opportunity this US earnings season with extended trading hours on over 110 key US shares. Get started at IG.com.